Welcome to Bangla City SATV News. This is Shibala along with our headlines. Government would use the sea resources to strengthen the country's economy, said Prime Minister. Four killed in clash between JSS and Mok Bahini at Roangchori and Ruma border areas in Bandarban. Western sanctions on Russia were a key into a declaration of war, said President Putin. Third round of talks with Ukraine tomorrow. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina today said that the important role of cadets from Marine Fisheries Academy will help the government achieve SDG 14 by tapping marine resources for sustainable development. Prime Minister said this while addressing the Mujib Borsho passing out parade of the 41st batch of the Marine Fisheries Academy. The Premier said the government has taken a number of steps to achieve the SDG 14 by using marine resources for sustainable development. Sheikh Hasina said that the cadets being trained from the academy are going to become fearless sailors in the deep sea. She firmly believes this knowledge gained through hard work, perseverance and intensive training will be helpful in cadets' future work. Meantime, referring to recovering vast sea areas from India and Myanmar, Sheikh Hasina said that the Awami government has laid special emphasis on the blue economy and extraction of resources from the sea has opened up a new door to the socio-economic development of Bangladesh's growing population. At least 4 persons were killed in Bandarban's Roangchori Upazila. The bodies with gunshot wounds were found next to the Sangu River in Bandarban. Identities of the deceased and details of the incident could not be known immediately. Reports said that the deceased are members of the local Mok party. Police said that they died in a shootout between two groups. Details will be available later, adding that the victims' identities are yet to be confirmed. On Saturday, a former activist of the Parbatya Chattogram Jano Sanghoti Samiti was shot dead in Roangchori Upazila. A writ petition has been filed in the High Court challenging the government's inaction in controlling the rise in soybean prices in the country. The writ petition seeks direction to control soybean oil prices in the public interest. Advocate Syed Mohidul Kabir filed the writ petition in the public interest on behalf of 3 lawyers in the concerned bench of the High Court on Sunday. In the writ petition, the Secretary of the Ministry of Home Affairs, the Secretary of the Ministry of Commerce, the Director General of the Department of Food, the President of the FBCCI and the Chairman of the TCB were named as defendants. Earlier, the writ petitioner had brought to the notice of the High Court a media report on the government's inaction in raising soybean prices. At the time, the court advised to take appropriate application. Bangladesh is well known for its natural beauty in the world of tourism. Hobiganj in Sylhet is one of the main attractions for local and foreign tourists. The area is promising for the development of tourism industry in the country, said Salahuddin Ahmed, Managing Director of SA Group of Companies. To take the country's tourism industry a step further, SA Group of Companies is building an international 5-star chain, Grand Palace Hotel and Resort. Dalia Nilufer has more.
Hobiganj, a district of green land of natural beauty, surrounded by rivers, bowers, hills and vast plains, lovely tea gardens, rubber plantations and natural gas, which attracts local and foreign tourists. Emphasizing this beauty and natural resources, SA Group of Companies has taken initiative to build hotels and resorts in different parts of the country to enrich the tourism sector.
5-star facilities, rich chain hotel, Grand Palace.
SA Group built an international 5-star China Grand Palace Hotel and Resort here. The hotel was inaugurated in Sylhet in 2021. Now following this, hotels are also being built in Hobiganj. Salahuddin Ahmed, the managing director of SA Group of Companies, said the five-star hotel is being built in the heart of Habiganj, keeping in mind of tourists.
Habiganj এখন ইন্ডাস্ট্রিয়াল জোনে পরিণত।
Sylhet has now turned into an industrial zone. We have noticed that many foreigners, including many Europeans and Americans, come to Sylhet. We believe that if our hotel is established, citizens of Habiganj will be benefited and the tourism industry will flourish. As Prime Minister said, Bangladesh is a country of possibilities. We also hope to establish a world-class hospitality service in our country.
বিদেশি পর্যটকরা ওখানে যাবে।
However, to build the government slogan of building a digital Bangladesh, development of the country's tourism industry is need to increase. Besides, the managing director hopes government will come forward with investment cooperation from private entrepreneurs to enrich the sector. Dalia Nulufar, SATV News Desk.
Viewers, we're taking a short break. Stay with Euro Bangla City, SATV News. Welcome back. You're watching Euro Bangla City, SATV News. Now international news. Russian President Vladimir Putin threatened the existence of Ukrainian statehood as his army's invasion of the neighbor faces stiff resistance Sunday and his economy is increasingly asphyxiated by sanctions. Dalia Nilufar brings the updates.
Moscow and Kiev traded blame over failed plans for a brief ceasefire to enable civilians to evacuate two cities besieged by Russian forces. The Ukrainian port city of Mariupol had delayed a planned evacuation of residents Saturday, blaming Russian forces for breaking their temporary ceasefire to allow civilians to flee. Meanwhile, more than 1.37 million people have fled Ukraine into neighboring countries since Russia invaded last week. Besides, President Vladimir Putin said Western sanctions on Russia were akin to a declaration of war. He warned that any attempt to impose a no-fly zone in Ukraine would be tantamount to entering the conflict. Putin reiterated that his aims in Ukraine are to defend Russian-speaking communities through the demilitarization and denazification of the country so that it became neutral. Meanwhile, Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky talked over phone with his US counterpart, US President Joe Biden, to discuss financial support and sanctions against Russia. He also said that he is pleading for Eastern Europe to provide Russian-made planes that his citizens are trained to fly. However, delegations from Kiev and Moscow are set to hold a third round of negotiations on Monday. Besides, the UN Security Council will hold an emergency meeting Monday on the humanitarian crisis triggered in Ukraine by the Russian invasion and discuss a possible draft resolution. Dalia Nulufar, SATV News Desk.
When the entire city in the morning, traders closed shops in many bazaars in Peshawar to show solidarity with the Shia community which buried the victims of the Friday suicide blast in Kucha Risalda Mosque. Local media reports that the mosque bombing had questioned claims about restoration of peace and caused a sense of insecurity among the residents, especially traders. Meanwhile, members of the Shia community staged a sit-in against the mosque bombing and shouted slogans against the government. They insisted that the community's members and worship places were being targeted under a conspiracy. The protesters demanded of the police and other law enforcement agencies to ensure the early arrest of culprits for strict punishment. Saudi Arabia lifts most COVID restrictions, including social distancing in public spaces and quarantine for vaccinated arrivals. The official Saudi press agency said on Saturday the decision taken could facilitate the arrival of Muslim pilgrims. According to the decision, masks will only be required in closed spaces, which came into immediate effect. The Saudi kingdom, which is home to Islam's two holiest places in Mecca and Medina, will no longer require vaccinated travelers to provide a negative PCR, a rapid test before their arrival in the kingdom, or to quarantine. Earlier, the coronavirus outbreak forced Saudi authorities to dramatically downsize the Hajj for the second year. Now sports news. Victory continues for Real Madrid in Spanish La Liga. The time Galactico went one step further in the mission to regain the title by defeating Sociedad by 4-1. They are now dominating the table with 63 points from 27 matches. Real suffered a bit of the beginning of the attack on the opponent, then over time they became sharper there as well. Sociedad scored in the first attack in the 9th minute of the match. Real Madrid returned to the match in the 40th minute. Camavinga breaks the deadlock. Luka Modric gave the lead to Real in 43 minutes. Benzema increased the lead with a goal from the penalty shot in the 76th minute. 3 minutes later, Asensio confirmed a big win. The victory will give Ancelotti's side extra confidence before they take to the field in the last 16 of the Champions League against PSG on Wednesday. Before ending, we go to the Euro-Bangla City SATV News headlines again. Government would use the sea resources to strengthen the country's economy, said Prime Minister. Four killed in clash between JSS and Mok Bahini at Rangchori and Ruma border areas in Bandarban. Western sanctions on Russia were akin to a declaration of war, said President Putin. Third round of talks with Ukraine tomorrow. You're up to date so far here on Euro-Bangla City SATV News, and to know the latest news, visit www.satvtv.tv. Stay with SATV.